Okay, let me grab your water bottle for you, princess.
Yes, I worked a 12-hour shift. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
You
Okay,
guys stay hydrated.
stay hydrated. I have not drank water all day. That's why I'm so thirsty.
Yeah.
But I got my water bottle.
I got my hydration. Can we put them both right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, it's
It's hot.
what's today? It is hot in our room.
Ugh.
What's today? It's Friday, right?
Yeah, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF. Okay.
What do you got for us today?
I have Elizabeth Smart. I'm
Ooh.
excited. Yeah, I didn't really do a lot of research. I did it all yesterday.
That's okay.
But, this was a very hard case to just put together because the videos that I watched were all over the place.
Yeah.
But I've managed to put it together in a semi-organized
I've
format.
heard about it when it first started, but it's been a while. It was a lot.
It was a while ago too.
It was. It was a lot back then,
Yeah.
to take in.
Yeah, I bet. I don't really think there's a lot to say about today.
No.
I didn't do much.
I mean, she's a survivor today, so
Oh yeah,
I'm sure we'll get into that.
But I think we're just gonna get into the story. I don't think there's really much any more to say in the intro. We're both tired and we just need a good case, a good snuggle gossip time. So
yes,
let's get into it.
yes.
Okay. So, disclaimers and just everything that I normally do. Sources come from Kendall Rae. I love her video. I watched her video. Kendall Rae on YouTube. I watched a short movie, or it wasn't a short movie, but I watched the Elizabeth Smart story. It's a movie on YouTube. It's the PG version of what happened.
Right.
I also went into a deep dive of Mormonism, which we'll talk about here in a second, because big part of the case. So I looked on the Church of Jesus Christ website and Britannica, because we love Britannica. I watched other short videos of Elizabeth actually herself talking about her abuse, and then there's also a Lifetime movie on it.
It is. I've seen a Lifetime.
I have not seen it.
Really interesting. It was really interesting to see.
Was
Yeah, because it literally because I think she helped kind of write. If I might, somebody could quote me or write and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think she kind of help set up the Lifetime movie. Maybe I'm wrong, but it does go side and side of what happened with her life, to the T.
I do want to watch it. I just don't have time to watch it.
The moment it happened to the very end.
Yeah.
So
okay, and then trigger warnings for this: rape and child abduction, of course. Sickening.
Two things should not go together.
Yeah, and then I'm not really sure if this has a trigger warning, but if you don't want to watch it, this case has a lot to do with religion. There's a lot of talk about religion throughout the case, and it is kind of important, so if you don't want to watch it, it's fine. There's a lot of religion. Some people don't like talking about religion. I'm not religious, right now at least. I grew up a little Christian. I know you guys grew up Catholic, I think.
Roman Catholic. I was baptized Roman Catholic. I haven't practiced since I was little. As I got older, it kind of just sadly faded away, but it's something, my girls are starting to get interested in too, so it's something we'll probably dip our toes back into.
My dad grew up Catholic and
both got baptized.
My mom kind of grew up Christian, so I grew up sort of Christian, but I didn't really go to church a lot as a kid, and then I went for a really long time with my friend, and then that was a terrible experience. So I just haven't really gotten down religion. I like learning about other religions. So this was very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Quick disclaimer, usual disclaimer, we're not professionals. This is all information that I found on the internet, and we're just talking about it together. Any opinions stated are ours only. So yeah, we see a lot of things on the news all the time, and we talk about it, and we tell each other, be safe. Keep your head on a swivel, as my mom would say.
Yes.
Keep an eye out.
Alert.
But then, when you're just shopping at Walmart, you don't actually keep a close eye out as you should.
Know your
And
surroundings. That's all I gotta
you yeah,
say.
you know your surroundings, but you can overlook things sometimes and
Mhm.
be like, "Oh, it's just a weird person. Oh,
Mhm.
that's just a it just happens, you know?" And sometimes you could just be standing next to somebody who literally is the worst person in the world,
I can't
which
tell you, it's so weird because I grew up in the 90s, so things were a little bit different where we could run out and didn't have to come out inside until the street lights came on. That was our
yeah,
cue to come inside. We had the commercials telling our parents at 10 o'clock, "Do you know where your kids are?" Like we
that's
that
crazy.
was
Does
our
not
life
happen anymore.
is, hey, oh crap, the street lights are on, so we got to get our butts home.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I don't let my kids out of my sight. Like
Yep.
when, especially at the playground, I'm like, okay, there's one, there's two heads, I got it. When we're shopping, their hands are on the cart, they're in the cart, like
Yep.
especially if I'm by
Unfortunate.
myself, it's very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, in today's case, people overlooked so many things, and so many people across the US have guilt from this case that they should not have because they overlooked this unfortunate little girl. So, before we get into it, I want to talk about Mormonism because everybody, mostly everybody in this story is Mormon. So, it was founded by Joseph Smith in the US. It's very strict on a lot of things: drinking, drugs, no coffee, no tea, no sex before marriage, etc. Kind of the usual. But it's a very strict religion, from what I read on it. It's headquartered in Salt Lake City, which is where this case takes place, which is why so many
Mhm.
people are Mormon. Some quick, like, little history. Actually, I don't really want to read that. It was the Book of Mormon. There's a lot of, I don't know, there's a quote that says, although Mormons believe that Christ came to earth so wow. I hate old English. I'm
Do you
sorry.
want me to read
I hate
it?
old English. No, I can do this. Okay. Although Mormons believe that Christ came to earth so that all might be saved and raised from the dead, they maintain that people's futures are determined by their own actions as well as by the grace of God.
Mhm.
So take that as you will. It's a lot of your own actions, what your own self. My personal opinions on Mormons,
I watched the show
there's a
Growing
lot.
Up Polygamy. No, thank you.
There is a lot of discourse that comes with them,
Yeah.
but I go to school with a lot of people who are Mormon.
They're
My
sweet.
school
A lot of people are
is
sweet.
literally Mormons and Christians, and
Mhm.
it's equally divided, and they're all pretty sweet. I
They're
mean,
pretty chill.
yeah, they're pretty chill.
Yeah.
They don't, some of them force, but I think you're gonna get that in every religion.
Oh, everywhere.
So, yeah, I had Christianity forced on me.
Yeah, you did.
So,
I
yeah.
forgot about
Yeah.
that.
So, like, I mean, every religion's forced. Have your opinions about it. It's a beautiful religion. They have beautiful freaking temples.
Oh my
There's
god.
one in,
I wish I could go in one.
yeah, that's the only thing
Hmm.
that I don't like is that you can't go in one unless you're
I
Mormon.
just want to go in one to experience and see what they see and
Yeah, there's one in
just to
Chandler.
admire the beauty of the temple as they do.
Yeah,
Like I granted we have different backgrounds when it comes to religion, but I feel like, just to be able to see the temple
just be
would be
welcomed.
welcome, would it be cool?
But
Because,
no, it's crazy. The one in Chandler is beautiful.
yeah,
It's literally like right next to my aunt Caitlin Uncle
there's
Bella's
this one
house.
I hike off of Pinnacle Peak. There's the Mormon temple. It's actually really pretty.
It's so pretty.
Hmm.
Okay, so now that we got that little religion thing out of the way, comes in a lot. So Elizabeth Smart was born on November 3rd, 1987. So my
Mm,
dad's age.
your dad. Yeah.
Wow. Didn't realize that. She was the second born child to Ed and, Lois. I almost said Louise. Ed and, Ed and I almost did it again. Ed and Lois Smart.
Lois. Say with me, Lois.
Lois. Six. She was the second born of six kids, four boys and two girls. That's another thing about Mormons.
They
They like to,
procreate.
yeah, they like to keep family lines going, so they reproduce, and they have a lot of kids usually.
Two's good enough for me.
Yeah, I'm good with one or two. I mean, good for them, honestly, though.
Hey, more the merrier.
Yeah,
To each is your own.
they lived in an upscale neighborhood. They were very well off, in Salt Lake City. Elizabeth was described as well behaved, mellow, social. She loved to play the harp and was extremely good at the harp, actually. She was in middle school and excited for high school. She felt like she had the dream life. You know, they had the ideal life. She did have an ideal life. They were upscale, they were Mormon, they liked going to church, and the family had like a good relationship. Even what the movie that I watched, it's very like on point with what had happened. And the guy who plays the brother, when he got interrogated, because the whole family gets interrogated at one point, but when the police pulled him aside and was talking to the brother, they like had asked him like, hey, like, do you and your sister get along? And he's like, yeah, I mean, we fight sometimes, brother
Like
and
any
sister,
brother.
but like I love her like she's my sister, and they were only a year apart.
Well,
So
that's like, well, me and your dad are 5 years apart, but I mean, we fought,
her and Charles, which is the
but
older brother, I believe they're only 1 year apart. He was 15 when she was 14 when this happened. So they're relatively close.
yeah.
So in 2002, it was the Olympic year in Salt Lake City. The Olympics were held in Salt Lake City.
Oh, didn't know that.
I didn't know that
Forgot that part.
either. um,
Summer or winter, because that's the real, because summer's my gymnastics. Just woo woo.
I don't know if it was this summer.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Sorry,
Um,
gymnastics fan here.
yeah, I did not. I did not. I don't know. It just says Olympics. The Olympics were held in Salt Lake City in 2002. That's all I know.
Probably winter.
Probably. Because I would believe 2000 would be the Summer Olympics.
Like, it's every 4 years.
But no, they. Isn't like 2 years in between the.
Oh, maybe. I don't know
I don't
how it
know.
works, but go on.
I don't know. Anyway. I can't. Okay. Um. Unfortunately, the Smart family's grandfather was diagnosed with a brain tumor during the time of the Olympics, so it was very chaotic for them. He had passed away. Um and their funeral was for him was on June 3rd of 2002. So like right in the midst
Oof.
of summer, right in the midst of the Olympics, a bunch of events.
Yeah.
There was an award ceremony at Elizabeth's middle school. So they had to like try to be normal, try to get to this award ceremony where Elizabeth was playing the harp, and they just had to try to be like a good tight knit family when they were really struggling. So that
Basically,
was kind of,
mask it.
yeah, it was a rough time, but it's like, okay, we're just gonna get through this, act normal, everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So after that awards ceremony, they were coming home, and Elizabeth and Mary Catherine, which is Elizabeth's 9-year-old sister, they went. I believe they're the only two sisters of the family. The rest are boys.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what
4
you
boys,
said.
2 girls.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're the only two sisters. They share a room in their house, and they went to get ready for bed. And they started reading Ella Enchanted, which I wrote in my notes ironic question mark, but I never actually researched Ella Enchanted. I
I've
meant
seen the
to.
movie.
I meant to, but it's I mean it's about a young girl.
Is it like the
It's a storybook of the Ella Enchanted, so I believe it's like the original. I don't know. The girl that I watched said that it was ironic because it was about something, and I completely forgot what Ella Enchanted is about.
all I know Ella Enchanted is from the movie I saw with Anne Hathaway.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where it was like her father went to go set off and her mother like got sick and he remarried. She became like,
Yeah.
well, she was cursed when she was a baby, something like that.
Oh, it's ironic because it's a girl given with a gift.
A gift.
So it's a girl
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth's age, and she's given this gift.
Ooh.
So it's just kind of eerie, I
Yeah,
guess.
what gift? Ooh.
Kind of eerie. So they end up going to bed. Sorry, that was like a little Ella Enchanted tangent.
Right.
um, so they end up falling asleep. Everything's fine. At 2 a.m., Elizabeth was woken by a man holding a knife to her neck. Just imagine being woken out of your sleep, awoken out of your deep slumber
So he had
to
to
a
come through the
random
wind.
man.
Did he have to come through the
We'll get
wind?
there.
Okay.
I shall show you. Whoa. No, I will not show you. I will tell you.
I was like, we're gonna
We're not reenacting
we're
that.
reenacting now, people. It's a whole new
No,
podcast.
no, 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 no.
We get canceled before we even have.
We don't talk about that. It's 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 night. I'm tired. Okay. So she was woken by a man holding a knife to her neck. She thought it was a dream. Like, I mean, any person would, and
And
that
how old
doesn't
is
seem
she
like
again?
reality. 14.
14. Oh my god.
Yeah. So he says,
Ugh.
"Don't make a sound. Get up and come with me." Mary Catherine, the 9-year-old sister, was awake. She heard all of this happen. She was terrified, so she pretended to be asleep because she was scared. Um, Elizabeth went with the man so that he wouldn't hurt anyone else because he was threatening to hurt her family, and she was like very like, I don't want my family to get hurt. I
Well,
don't want Mary Catherine to get hurt. So she was able to put on her shoes, was the only thing she was able to put on, and then she left with this man.
oh my
They
God.
started walking up the hill that was behind their house. There was like mountains behind their house. It was kind of like on the kind of
Yeah.
like ground of the mountain, so like you would go up as like a hiking trail kind of. So they started walking up this hill and they see headlights of a police car. They see the sirens, they hear them, and they see the lights. Um, the man pushed her under a bush and told her to hide and and said it's so sorry. This is like it's so weird because I just don't understand it. He said, if this work is true, God, let this car pass." So he's asking God, let this police car pass so that he can kidnap
What?
this girl. And the car passed.
What? The police car passed?
Yes, they were hidden enough to where the police car passed, didn't notice.
Oof.
And that was Elizabeth's like, this is real.
Oh my God.
So this man is, I'm gonna skip a little bit so we know who this man is. This is Brian David Mitchell. He was born in 1953 to Cheryl, I think it's Cheryl, I don't really know, and Irene Mitchell.
He's irrelevant. No, just kidding.
It's his dad, yeah,
Yeah.
just whatever. He was born in Salt Lake City and he is also Mormon. He had 5 siblings, and his strategy to kidnap was to kidnap somebody that was Mormon so that he could manipulate them because they both had the same faith,
But
which
that
is
is
exactly what he did to Elizabeth.
crazy. I
That's why,
mean,
like,
I hate for anybody to be kidnapped, but I feel like at 14, you have more of a self defense than you would at 9. Does
oh,
that kind of
yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, like, I'm glad he
So,
took, well, I'm not glad he took
no, but
Elizabeth,
I get what you're
but,
saying.
like,
Like, mentally,
at least, because I feel like Mary Catherine wouldn't have really known what to
no,
do.
she'd have been scared. That'd be like Letty.
She probably would have
She would have
ended up,
cried.
she probably would have ended up dead.
Yeah. But at least 14,
Elizabeth knew what to do to
because you're
comply.
14.
No.
No, you're
You did
15.
this last
I did.
podcast too.
You're 15, gonna be
Goodness.
16 next month, but you have a
You
more
yeah,
fighting
fight or
chance.
flight for
Yeah,
sure.
you have a better chance of that.
So
Sorry,
his
people.
dad was his dad was a social worker, which was really freaking weird because his dad was horrible. He taught Brian about sex at the age of 8. He
Ooh,
dropped him off at random locations and would make him find his way home.
what the hell?
He would abuse the kids. He became, or not he, but Brian became inappropriate to girls at around 16. He asked an 8-year-old girl to touch him at 16 years old. He was
Oh,
charged, I think he was like in jail for like a night and then he got like
that's it?
I don't really know, but he wasn't in jail for a night, but he got
Well, I guess
like a
back
slap
then
on
they
the I
didn't take
mean,
it
yeah, and he was
serious.
16, so it was just kind of
Did they
like a
not take it serious back
not
then?
really. Um so
Sickening.
he became inappropriate to girls, and at 19 he got married to a 17-year-old named Karen, I believe.
That's not
They
gross
had
at all.
yeah. I mean, realistically there's a 2 age difference.
But just
She's
the
a
mental
minor.
that he already went through.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she's a minor. So it's just disgusting. They had 2 kids together, but they both drank and smoked and they
Hmm.
didn't treat their kids well. He had
Well, psychological.
he quote unquote like kidnapped, not really kidnapped, but he kidnapped his own children after divorce. So like he just kind of like took them. There was no really custody battle, I believe. Like since they were both just kind of like crazy, I guess. I don't really
So he
know.
was the better fit parent
I don't think
in
there was
his
a I don't
mind?
think there was in
No, in
his
his
mind.
mind?
Yes. I don't really know, but
That's horrible.
he had the kids at this point. He married a
Oh,
second wife named Debbie. Their marriage didn't last long. Debbie was very open about him being abusive and inappropriate with Debbie's 3-year-old son.
oof.
Um and then he married Wanda Barzy, his third
Man
wife.
gets around.
Well, Wanda Eileen Barzy, we're using full names because screw these people. Was
Yeah,
born
Wanda.
yeah, Wanda Oh, we're gonna get into I can't. Okay. She was born on November 6th, 1945, so she's older than Brian. Um, she had 6 children of her own, but she kicked all of her children to the curb when they were like 13, 14 years
What the
old.
hell
She
is
was a
wrong with
she was
these people?
abusive mother, toxic.
Oh, Wanda, you could kick rocks with open-toed shoes.
Yeah. And then so they got married. Um, Brian thought he was a prophet. Brian thought that he was
Prophet of the Mormon side?
he yeah, he thought he was basically like another Jesus. I'm pretty sure. He dressed as Jesus and Wanda like entertained these fantasies. So it wasn't like he was getting like, dude, like stop, this is weird. Like
She fed into it.
she fed into it a lot. So that is
Mm,
that. Back to where we were in the
yes.
storyline. Um they hiked up this mountain and Elizabeth Smart, she was kind of just as any person would terrified at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and she asked him, "Can you rape me or kill me already? Get it over with so my parents know what happened to me."
Oh my
So
gosh.
she was asking him like, "Please
Just,
just get it over with so I don't have to live with this and so that my parents don't have to live with this and so that they
you
know
could
what
just be
happened."
done with me.
Yeah, and Brian Mitchell
Wow.
replied, "I'm not going to kill you yet."
Yet?
Yet. Dun
Hmm,
dun dun. But really
jeez.
terrifying to hear. That was so brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she starts like manipulating him actually. She was really smart. She started saying things like, cuz Brian is very very easily manipulated. She started saying things like, "You're not going to get away with this, and if you let me go, my parents will like press charges." She was just trying to get into like his head.
What any person would.
Yeah. He said he knew what he was doing and he knew what the consequences were.
Mhm.
So after kind of like backtracking a little bit, after Mary Catherine heard them leave, she went to get her parents,
Good job. Good job, little
and
sis.
the parents kind of didn't really believe her. They were like, "Oh no, she's just downstairs, blah blah blah." So they searched the house, and when they realized that she wasn't there, they flipped out. They freaked out. Um, we're gonna get into what the parents did and the police did a little bit in here just a second. I just want to make you guys aware. Elizabeth knew who Brian was.
Oh, I didn't
Not
know.
like personal,
But like,
but so 7 months earlier, the family was shopping and they saw a guy, homeless guy, begging on the streets, and her mom gave him a $5 bill. And they said he was very friendly and calm. He had a very recognizable, calm voice. That Mary Catherine knew, and this is very, very important. All the kids knew who this guy was
oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
because Ed Smart hired him to work on the house because they had a lot of,
That's where it all starts.
yeah, they had a lot of like, they had a huge house, so they had a lot of people always coming, contractors always coming and
Mm.
working on it. So like they had hired him to do just like some random little jobs like cutting down trees, landscaping, all that, just to give him money because their initial thought was like, "Oh, he's homeless, like he needs money,
They were being
They
helpful.
were trying to
Like,
be nice.
yeah, like help the needy.
Yeah, so when the parents searched the house, they had seen that a window was left open on accident and the screen was slashed in the window so that somebody could come in, and that's how they knew where the that's how they knew he was taken, or Elizabeth was taken.
Wow.
Police were called, but like so were family members. So at like 5 a.m. in the morning, everyone was there by 6 a.m. Police never sealed the crime scene. So these family members were walking all over the house. They were like contaminating the freaking crime
Well,
scene.
that's
These
freaking.
police in this story make me so angry.
Well, they're an idiot. First
This was the
off.
graveyard shift, and most graveyard shifts are given to new officers, which is why, because not a lot happens in the early hours of the morning. Which I beg to differ. Like I feel like there should be like an equal amount of experienced and new officers on.
Like the show I watched, Rookie. You have your rookies and you have your training officers, like who have been there a really long time.
Yeah, because you never know what's gonna happen.
No, they call them boots. You got your boots and you got your TOs.
Yes. So each member of the family was taken into separate cars. So all of the kids, all of Elizabeth's brothers and sisters were taken in separate cars. Of course, not the younger ones, because I believe there was like a 3-year old and a 5-year old that were young, but Mary Catherine, and then there was another younger brother, and then there was Mary Catherine, and then there was Charles, which is the older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents were all taken to the interrogation rooms because the police thought it was one of them that did it. And I mean, statistically, like, a lot of men do it, but like, I'm sorry, how would their dad be able to get away with it when all of the kid when somebody is that knows the dad is in the room? Like, Mary Catherine would have been like, "Oh, it's my dad's voice."
Exactly. Or like my dad did it.
Yeah.
Like she literally
And
said a
where is
man came and took her.
yeah, and where is in the span, because this all happened very quickly. Once Mary Catherine heard them leave and knew that they were gone, she went and got her
I'm
parents.
sorry. Like
So how quickly would he be able to hide this girl?
it makes no sense.
It
He would have
makes
no
no
time.
sense in my brain.
And as a mom, I would have been like, boom, up.
Well, they're in the sharing. I mean, you're sharing a bed with your wife. She
Oh,
would have known that he would have gotten out of bed.
yes. Yes, easily.
So
And
they
the daughter
interrogated
would even
them.
said, no, my dad did it. Like you said. Like, no, dad stole her and took her out the window.
Water break, sorry. um.
So it
So
just
yeah, it didn't make sense, but Mary Catherine gave a description of a white male, 30 to 40 years old, and it says about as tall as her brother Charles, which was about 5'8". The family was really, really frustrated that they were being investigated rather than the police looking for Elizabeth. This part makes me really mad. Police wanted to wait 3 hours to put photos of Elizabeth out into the media.
why?
Statistic, because I looked it up. Actually, no, I didn't look it up, but it was in the video. 65% of children are killed within the first 3 hours.
So don't you want the picture before?
Yep, but they didn't.
But now what sucks, and this needs to change, and it makes me frustrated. Like for preteen like you, like younger ones like Letty that,
Runaways.
they do Amber Alerts like that. Like for Letty and Remy's
Oh, okay,
age.
yeah.
For someone your age, Carly's age,
Mm-hmm.
all them, you guys are
Runaways.
considered runaways, which is bull crap. I feel like
Bullshit.
yeah,
I
bullshit.
can't.
Because
I
I
can't
feel
stand
like
that. And that's what they said about her.
regardless if they're runaway, whatever, if they do runaway, chalk it up to runaway. But if that is not
Well,
their normal pattern and the parents are telling you it's not their normal pattern, send an Amber
but it doesn't
Alert.
matter if parents come to you and it says like, "Hey, they might have run away, yes, but can you please find my child?" And you're like, "I'm
And
not going to do anything because,
it hasn't been
there
24
hasn't been
hours.
24 hours. They could
Or
have ran
she's
away."
18, she's an adult. No, this ain't her norm. She checks in with me every
Exactly.
day. She calls me. She calls me 5 times a day, and I haven't heard from her. But, ma'am, she's an adult. She's 18. No,
No.
something's wrong. Or he's an adult. That makes no sense.
It drives me crazy when people say things like that because it
So I
is
think the
truly
system
not.
needs changed a little bit in that
Yeah.
sense.
I think the term runaways needs to be like,
Gone with.
yeah, like every person's whereabouts should be
Taken
accounted for and
seriously.
taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So but once they did put like pictures out and whatever whatnot, like Elizabeth got a lot of media and news coverage. Everybody was looking for her. Search parties were formed, and yeah, so everyone was looking for this girl. And side note, after a couple days, Ed actually collapsed from sleep deprivation, and he was admitted to the hospital within the first few days of her disappearance because he was so stressed out and sleep deprived. He was sedated and just
Was
like
this the dad?
the dad, yeah,
Elizabeth's dad?
yeah.
Oh, poor
So
Ed.
he was very, very
I mean, yeah, your child goes missing and you're getting questioned and they're not actively searching.
terrible.
Yeah, I'd be collapsed and want to knock out too
Yeah.
from this nightmare.
So as they were walking up to this um place, Brian had like pre-made a campsite because he at the top of this hill or mountain because like
You
he
do.
he knew he was gonna do this. Um,
Sorry, head on.
no, you're good. Um, Elizabeth was wearing bright red pajamas, so as the sun came up, he kind of freaked out and was like, "Oh my god, someone's gonna see her." So as soon as they got to the campsite, um, she felt Elizabeth felt a little bit more hope because she saw Wanda there, Brian's wife.
Oh, that's
Um,
worse.
yeah, but
But in her mind,
she
it's
thought like
another.
it's a woman. It's
Mm-hmm.
somebody that might want to help me. No, Wanda didn't want to help her.
She's just as sickening.
Yeah, Wanda washed Elizabeth's feet and told her to change into this robe. Um, Elizabeth refused, but Wanda said she was like, "I'm not changing. I'm not doing what you're saying." But
Good.
Wanda said that if she didn't, Brian would do it for her. Brian would undress her.
Oof.
She sat on the bucket in the tent and she just cried for a long time. They left her alone. When Brian came back, Brian performed some. I'm laughing because how ridiculous this is. I'm not laughing because it's funny. Brian performed some type of marriage ceremony so that her and Elizabeth were married.
Huh?
Because this was his whole thing. We'll get into it. He like wanted
Like a sister wife?
no, like he because he was a prophet of God. He needed quote unquote. He needed wives, and he needed these wives to. It's somewhere in here, but they needed to experience all the sins to become clean.
Okay.
It was sick. So Elizabeth lost her virginity that day.
Mm.
And it
By
was
the hands of a nasty
extremely
man.
scary because of her faith, because it was so like,
That's sacred.
yeah,
That
it's
was supposed to
sacred
be
to
for her
her.
husband.
And I watched a video where she was talking and she said like it's so much more she was like it was so hard to overcome that feeling of like some of it's for love and some of it's to hurt, like different type of intimacies. And she was like it was kind of hard to overcome, and like but my husband was very very sweet about it, like very
Her new
understanding.
husband?
Yeah.
Okay.
So nowadays that's like what Elizabeth Smart was
Okay, like
talking about it.
he's understanding, her new
Yeah, they
one.
like she I mean obviously went through so much therapy, we'll get
Well,
into it later,
yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, so she lost her virginity that day, and because of her faith, she was very, very
Mm,
like just really upset.
that's sad.
And that was one of his tactics was like, hey, I know her faith. This is going to destroy her.
That's messed up.
So
That's
she
so messed
wished
up.
she would have been killed
That
rather than raped.
yeah. At that point I probably would have too if he took away the one thing that was
Yep,
pure to me.
that would have yeah,
If he took away my purity, not by choice,
sick.
by force.
Yeah, so she decided that she would escape and she took a nap, but when she woke up, Brian was tying hello intermission.
Shin.
So where was I? Oh, so she took a nap, but she woke up and Brian was tying a rope to her leg. She was tied to a tree, so she only had a 20-foot radius to walk. Parents were terrified. Obviously, like they
Yeah.
were Ed and Lois, not Louie.
Lois.
Jesus, I keep saying
Louis.
Louie.
Louis? That's
Yeah, or Lewis. Like I keep saying,
mm,
oh, geez, Lois. They were
Lois.
emotional. Ed made a public statement at this point, but Brian told Elizabeth that he was an angel. God wanted this all to happen. Which I don't know what God you believe in, but I don't think that a higher power or any being on this earth would want this to happen to a child.
God no. Sickening.
So I don't know. Take
There's
that
a
with what you
special
will.
place in hell for people like that.
Yeah.
Side note.
She
Sorry.
she barely ate or drank and she kind of became a slave. She was forced to watch adult content and drink alcohol.
Mm,
She told or Brian told her that if she needed to experience all the sins before she became pure and the wife of prophet, which that's what I was talking about. He wanted these wives to become, and I say wives because he's gonna try to do this again later, but he wanted these wives to experience all the sins so that he had a pure wife, which is so like
I mean, he did. If you think about it, she was pure.
yeah,
Like,
but he was like you need to experience everything before you become pure, which is
but that
just very
doesn't make
very it doesn't make
sense.
sense,
It's
but
condescending.
in his brain, because he was a prophet, he had the right to say
But if
that.
you think about it, it's very
It
condescending
is very
because she was
condescending.
pure, purest of pure. If you think about it,
Yeah.
in God's eye, that's the purest form,
Yeah.
and he just undid all that.
So Brian obviously forced her to drink alcohol, forced her to
Mm-hmm.
drink wine, and she liked it because it made her numb. She
I
didn't
mean,
feel
I'd be.
anything. She felt kind of like free, like Eva was away from
I.
all of what she was doing.
I think I'd become an alcoholic.
Yeah.
No offense, but
No, she liked it.
Just
Wanda,
because, like she said, it would numb it.
yeah, it would numb the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda became jealous of Elizabeth.
Damn Wanda.
So Brian, Brian's a weird man. I mean, obviously, but like Brian made a rule so that he was spending equal time with Wanda and Elizabeth, so Wanda wasn't getting jealous.
Wanda could kick rocks too.
Oh my god, we're gonna get into more. She did a
Wanda's
lot.
just psycho.
Yeah, she is. But
Mm.
so this rule actually kind of saved Elizabeth in some ways
Oh.
because one time is just a specific time that I'm talking about. Brian tried to rape Elizabeth,
Mm.
but Elizabeth reminded him like, "Hey, this is Wanda's time, so you can't do that." Like you told, because it was like early out in the morning, so 12 o'clock was Wanda's time. 12 o'clock to this is Elizabeth's time. I don't know if that's accurate. I'm just giving you like a
So
representation.
scheduled raping.
Schedule times, basically, yes.
Disgusting.
But she was like, "Hey, this is Wanda's time, so you can't do that to me."
Oh, good job,
And
Elizabeth.
she had some power over what he was doing to her,
Good job.
which is good. The third day of searching, this one's so sad. Someone, because they were searching like the areas around the house, literally Elizabeth heard the search party calling her name.
Oh,
She heard her uncle. Her uncle was calling her name,
oh my
and
God.
Brian said that if Elizabeth had made any sound, he would kill her and her whole family. And Elizabeth didn't want her family to be hurt.
I see when people say that, do you honestly think they would if she would have just ran?
I think he would have killed her.
Could
I
he have
think he would
outrun
have.
her?
I Yeah, she did try to escape later, and she couldn't.
Because what does he have? Does he have crossbows or something? That's what I'm saying.
He's just insane,
But
and when you're insane, like
if her family's right there, I mean, oh,
I think like if she would have shouted back, I think she was just so scared. Which actually, you're bringing up a really good point. For my next point that I have right here. Um, but Elizabeth got a lot of hate later on because she didn't run, because she didn't go to her family, but she was just
she's
scared.
scared.
She wanted to make sure she knew what the right timing was. She wanted to make sure that everything was perfect and that she knew what the
And that
situation
that
was going to
makes me
be.
mad, people hating her, because unless you are in that situation,
You don't know.
you don't know. Because I could sit there and say, why didn't she run? Why didn't she do that?
Exactly.
But who knows to say, like, I wouldn't, like, I would be like wanting to cry out, but also I'm thinking like, oh God, if I die, what if he does something to my body? What if he has like a underground burial or something and he
What
never
if my
finds,
family doesn't find out?
yeah, and what if my family doesn't find me in the
That's what she wanted.
woods?
She wanted her family to know what happened.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like it'd be like an unsolved mystery. I would never want to be an unsolved mystery
Me too.
case.
Yep, exactly. So my next point is pause because we have some rumors that
Ooh,
spread.
okay.
Weeks passed, nothing was found in search parties. So of course, because the media was getting bored of the same old, this girl's missing, please help. The rumor started to spread. So someone rumored that the screen on the window was cut from the inside, putting the
Oh, here we
families
go.
on as suspects, not subjects.
Well,
Um,
I mean,
so that was weird to them, but it wasn't cut from the inside. It was cut from the outside. It was just a rumor. An inconclusive polygraph test from a member in the family, which was the uncle, was
um,
first of all,
but those don't hold up in
polygraph
court.
tests don't hold in court,
No.
and it can be inconclusive because someone is nervous.
And if you squeeze your butt cheeks, it'll tell if you're lying. Sorry.
Yeah.
Side note. Watch too many shows.
But the uncle was just nervous and he felt guilty that this had happened to
My Uncle
Elizabeth.
Donnie, or cousin Donnie, told me that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
He goes,
interesting.
don't squeeze your butt cheeks in the lie detector test. It'll flinch that you're
That's
lying. I'm like,
crazy.
note to self. I won't ever take one, but
I would
note to
squeeze my butt cheeks just because I'm nervous. I'd be like,
self. And it'd be like, lie.
lies.
Is your name
I didn't
Leah?
even say
Lie.
lie. um, so some people also started speculating that um, David, which is the uncle, I'm just gonna start calling him David because he's involved a lot. The uncle and Ed, which is the father, that they hated each other. They were literally brothers. Literally, they there was a press conference with David and Ed hugging each other and being like, "We love each other. Like we do not hate each other." So they
Right?
had to clear that up. Media took rumors and just ran with it because they were bored.
They needed something to do.
They were bored.
They didn't know
So
what
yeah,
happened.
nope.
So
So back to the kind of events. Brian was planning his next kidnapping, and it was Elizabeth's cousin, Olivia, which is David, the uncle, the
his
uncle's
daughter?
daughter. I believe it's the uncle's daughter. Do not quote me on that. Somewhere in here it is written, but I don't know where.
That's okay.
I believe it was his daughter. Elizabeth had been kidnapped for 49 days at this point. And
Over a month.
Brian, same thing. He was cutting the screen of the window. And when he was cutting the screen of the window to get into Olivia's house, he knocked picture frames over and it woke up the mom and he ran. So he was not successful with the kidnapping of Olivia.
Oh, thank God for picture frames.
Thank God for picture
Oh,
frames. Praise the Lord. But so yeah, so when police were called, because Olivia's mom was like, "We need to call the police." Literally, almost got our house breaking into.
little side note.
Go
Maybe
ahead.
that's why Papa had a thorn bush and outside my window and some like vines. So yeah,
Probably.
because I
I had
was
bushes outside. I have bushes about outside my windows
because I
too.
was literally the only window, and I'm his
Yeah.
only girl, but I was the only window that had like a vine fence with thorn bushes.
Period.
That makes sense now. Okay, continue.
Okay, so police were called, and Elizabeth. Sorry. Um, the uncle and aunts and Olivia's parents. So Olivia's parents said that they were relatives of the Smarts, and they think that it's connected. But police were like, "Nah, it's not. It's not
These damn
connected."
fucking police.
Police are like, "Yeah,
Popo, get it
we don't think it's
together.
connected because it's just a burglary, and Elizabeth was kidnapped, so I don't think it's connected."
Popo, get it
Oh,
together.
so that happened. Elizabeth was obviously relieved that Olivia did not show up with Brian when he returned.
Oh, thank God.
She was still chained at this point, but she convinced him to unchain her. Actually, and this is when she tried to run, but she failed. Wanda said that if she tried to run again, she would be met with no, that's not the quote. Sorry, I read a different quote.
Scratch.
Scratch that. Wanda said that she would be quote unquote met an angel with a sword. She would meet
Ooh,
an meet, not met. Wow,
meet an
that's
angel.
yeah. She would
You're
meet.
tired. It's
Yeah,
okay. It's our
sorry.
midnight
I'm
midnight gossip
sorry.
talk. Hence,
Meet an angel with a sword. That is the correct quote.
that sounds a little bit better.
Yes. So, they decided not to chain her back up for some reason because Elizabeth swore that she would not
I
run.
mean, it sounds like she could pretty much
She was
convince
very
them.
convincing, yes.
I think with just how probably well she's behaved in a way to keep her
Yes.
survival.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's definitely doing the fight or flight to the max right
Yeah,
now.
she's amazing. So Wanda got jealous again. Wanda was not
Damn
having it. Wanda was bored. She said she was sick of living this life in this camp. They
Oh,
were still at the camp, by the way. They've been at the camp for like
what does she want?
50
A bougie
days.
life?
Yeah, basically. But they're poor. Like they have no money. They're literally homeless. Um sorry, it's not funny.
No,
It
it's
well
not.
no,
But just like a picture,
it
Wanda be
is.
like, "I'm done with this.
I'm
Just take
done
me
with this
somewhere
camping
else."
life. I need she's ugly. I'm so sorry. I will show Wanda's so I'm gonna show you guys pictures. I guess I should have showed you pictures. Let's picture time.
And I'm falling in a hole. Sorry, my bed's
This is
sinking.
Olivia, not Olivia,
Whoa.
Elizabeth.
Oh, pretty.
She's so gorgeous. This is her and her family now.
Oh, beautiful. Handsome husband and beautiful
We will talk about
kids.
their kids and family. Um, okay, so we're gonna look up what were we looking at? Brian,
Wanda and Brian.
Brian and Wanda. So this was Brian. He was in
Fugly.
fugly little. Oh, this was like Elizabeth when she was kidnapped. So
Yeah.
that's her
Pretty little
then,
girl.
and then I can't type very fast with one hand. Wanda Barzee.
Oh, she is. Ooh.
She kind of looks like
Ah,
um the
the
witch from Snow
no,
White.
or Matilda, the
Oh my God! Yes, Matilda,
the
the
wit
principal,
the principal. What's the principal?
Churchill.
Yeah, that's what she looks like.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, that's
But a
her.
little bit scarier, if possible.
Yeah, she's a little cray cray. I don't know. Anyway, Wanda wants to move. So Brian agreed. He was like, hey, yeah, we can move. Elizabeth was covered by a veil in the city, which this veil becomes a lot more important because they were covered. The women, Wanda and Elizabeth, were covering their faces and their whole bodies of by these white robes. Brian was also in a white robe, so they were in a hat, I believe, like a white hat kind of.
So do they stick out a little bit?
They kind of, this is where religion comes in again. They kind of played it off as this was their religion to cover.
Mm,
So like Islamic faiths, but they weren't being Islamic faiths, but I'm that's just where my brain goes, like the veil
oh,
and everything, like
yeah, to
so they
kind
were
of,
like,
so they
there's
put
an
a like
excuse that they can't take off their
it's my
veils because
religion, don't
yeah,
ask me kind of
but
thing.
it's not. It's not. So they would beg for food, they would steal food. Elizabeth stayed really quiet during all of this. She obeyed what they told her to do, but she did
Yeah,
not talk. They stopped by this house party once, which I think they just went to go get alcohol, free food, like that kind of deal.
yeah,
Um, and this made Elizabeth feel free for a second because although she was next to Brian the whole time, she was in this place with human beings, other people.
like seeing the outside world again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but she was confused by why people didn't recognize her. She felt really sad that nobody recognized her. And a photo was taken of her at this house party. A legit, like, someone had taken a photo, not recognizing that it was her. I'm gonna try to find it real quick.
wow.
So this was the photo. Legit, that's her, and that's Brian, and this is the random man.
And somebody took that at a like a house get together.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
and nobody knew it was her.
that is sad.
Also, that's another picture of Wanda and Brian.
Ew.
Yeah,
Yeah, they look like
they look scary.
kidnappers and
So someone had taken a photo of her, and I'll show you guys the photo, of course. But the other man in the photo, so as I showed you, there was Elizabeth, a man, and Brian.
yeah.
The man in that photo came forward after everything had settled, and he was like, I feel so guilty because I had a daughter her age, and like I just can't imagine anything happening. I wish I would have noticed her. I wish I would have said something. He did say like, "Hey, you like Brian is kind of crazy. Like you should get away from her." But he didn't realize it was Elizabeth Smart.
That's sad.
Yeah.
He's probably eating himself
Yeah, he was
alive.
felt really really guilty.
Dang.
So Brian got super drunk at this party and they got kicked out. She was Elizabeth was so scared at this point she didn't even try to run. She didn't even try to get away. She didn't try to call for help, even though she could.
Well,
Um,
I mean, yeah, just the
she was
it's
terrified.
kind of like Stockholm syndrome at this point. I know, not I
Not
guess
full on,
not full on where you
because she's
like
not
fall in love,
obsessed with him,
but
but she
it's
was so scared she didn't want to
yeah.
run.
Yeah, it wasn't like Stockholm syndrome where like now she's in love with him and marrying him.
Yeah.
It's more of okay, I need to obey.
Yeah.
I can't disobey him otherwise.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
She was more worried about her family than
Yeah.
herself at this point. Um, Brian decided that Salt Lake City wasn't a good place for them to stay for the winter. So they decided to move. They decided they went to a library and they wanted to move to California. Somebody recognized Elizabeth at this library, called the cops. The cop went up to Linda and was Elizabeth and Wanda while Brian was in the bathroom. Um, he asked them to remove their veil, but Brian came back and said that it was their religion. They couldn't remove their veil. It was against their religion for their daughters to take off their veil. So, Wanda and Brian were calling her their daughter at this point when they went out in the
Yeah.
streets. Like this was their daughter, so that nobody questioned it. Um, the officer let them go.
I would have hung on to that officer like no other.
Wanda was holding Elizabeth's thigh the whole time. So it was kind of like she was holding the thigh, being like, hey, like, if you say anything, if you make even a noise, like, you're going to suffer when we get
I
back to the
think at that
campsite.
point I would have been like, fuck y'all.
Help me.
Help me.
Yeah.
I would have said something. The officers right there
Yeah.
at that point, I'd have been like, enough's enough. If I die, I die.
Yeah. And I
Like,
just think she was so scared.
I get it because like I said, I don't know. I wasn't in that shoes. But I think at that point, me personally, I know myself, I'd have been like,
Yeah.
Fuck you two
No, I think I would,
psychos.
yeah.
I'm gonna team up with this officer.
We also, it's,
But
I
we
feel
don't
like
know
we
the
would
situation.
say it. She's 14 still, so it's just kind of
No, take
hard.
it for your situation. If you were in that,
I think I
no.
would have been dead from the beginning because I would have not shut my mouth. And,
But I think
but
I
I
don't think
think,
so. I think you underestimate yourself. I think
I just
because of
think
who
I
your
would have
dad is,
screamed. I just think I would have tried to get out of that situation so
you would
bad.
have.
But then again, might have would have been like her.
Because I
No,
think
I
you,
can't talk. I might have been like her to where I didn't, you
I think
know.
you underestimate yourself because of I know who your dad is and stuff. I
Yeah,
think you would have definitely done the fight
tried
or
to survive.
flight,
Yeah,
and
for
I think
sure.
you would have left clues. Knowing you,
I would
you
have,
would have left mysteries behind. You would have left like hair
especially
pieces,
being
clothes
there that
pieces.
like right next to the house. I would have.
Oh yeah, you would have left
Um,
little scavenger
yeah.
hunts.
So they boarded a bus to San Diego and they made a camp next to the creek, next to a random creek in San Diego. They were out of Salt Lake City, which timeline check, like this was 4 months into her abduction. She started asking for more alcohol because she wanted to feel numb. She felt like they were so far from home, nobody would recognize her in this
Because
new
across
state.
state lines.
Yeah. So Brian started going to the LDS church, which LDS is
Latter Day Saints.
Latter-day Saints, yes,
Norman.
Mormon church. He started going to church and he met someone named Veril Kemp, and Veril Kemp had a teenage stepdaughter.
Oh Jesus
Brian
Christ.
attempted to kidnap her but failed yet again. Thank God.
He's not a good kidnapper, thank
No,
God.
he is
Thank
not.
God.
He's really bad.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Hey, my dad always says if it weren't for stupid criminals, they
They
would
would
not have a job.
yeah.
So Brian showed her, Elizabeth, a newsletter about Elizabeth, and this showed her that her parents were still searching for her, and this gave her hope. Basically,
Yep.
she knew that it wasn't over. And Brian said to her face, "I thought they'd stop searching by now."
Wow. To
Yeah,
hear that would just be like a knife in the heart. But also, I know my family and I know they would have never stopped searching.
yeah.
So then I would be like, okay, yeah, you may be right, like just to please him.
Hmm.
But in my mind and in my heart, I'd be like, nah, motherfucker, you wrong. I know my family.
Exactly. So, Ed had come up with all of Ed, which is her father, sorry,
Yeah.
had come up with all 60 contractors that came to their house for the police so that the police could look into each and every one of them and clear them of a suspect. Um, Brian was, of course, a suspect because he had a criminal record.
Yes.
Police gathered as much info as possible on all of these suspects. For some reason, the media concluded at this time that Elizabeth was dead. Don't
What?
know how they concluded that, but again, other rumors
Probably
that
because
they
it
said,
hasn't been, it's been four
yeah.
months and,
Um, okay. Here's where I get a little angry.
oh,
Richard
Jesus.
Reese was more suspected than Brian Mitchell because Richard Reese was one of the contractors that the family had allowed into their home to help them build. And he had a large criminal record. But he was in jail 9 days after Elizabeth's disappearance.
So there's no way. Oh,
There
after?
is a way
Oh,
because
yeah.
he could have killed her and
Went to jail
went
and.
not he didn't go to jail for that. I
No,
will
no, no, but I'm saying, like,
yes, like went to jail and then just didn't say anything, of course, because
yeah.
nobody would. But he died. I don't know. I don't remember from what. He died from some medical condition, and he was like adamant. There is actually footage that I watched of him being interrogated, Richard Reese, and he was like, "I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I swear to God, I didn't do it." He was like pacing the room. He was crying. He was frantic. He was saying he did
Yeah,
not kidnap this
yeah,
girl.
that's
He
a
was
not
saying
guilty man.
he did not kill this girl. But
That
police were like, "Yes, you did." Like they were legit telling him like, "Yes, you did. Just admit it.
they play this tactic where they make you think, like,
You did." Yeah.
you break down, they break you down so much to be like, fine, I did it. You know, when really you didn't
But
do
he
it.
didn't break.
Yeah.
But then he died.
Oh.
And I don't know if I want to say unfortunately because I don't know what he was charged for. I
Hopefully it
will
was
say
like
that.
petty shit. Hopefully it was like
I will say that. Maybe I'll look it up in here in a second, but I want to continue
hopefully
because
it
this
was
is a very
petty shit he was
fast
charged with.
paced. Yeah, hopefully. I don't think it was though.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, I'm just Debbie Downer over here. So police wanted because the Richard Race had died. Police wanted the case closed. Police was like, okay, he did it obviously, but he's dead now. So I mean, case closed. You know, she's dead. You know. Um, but on October of 2002, Mary Catherine ran to her dad and said, "I remember who it was. I remember that homeless guy. It was that homeless guy who we gave $5, and he came to our house." And they brought Mary Catherine to the police. She said it to the police, and police didn't believe her because it was so many months.
Mm.
I know. Get
Mm.
angry.
Popo, do better.
um. So where was I? Sorry, I
Got
lost my thought.
angry, told the
Got
police.
angry. Yes. So they didn't think that she would remember because it was so many months after Elizabeth's disappearance. 4 months. But
Oh,
yeah, it was
I'm
just.
sorry, if my sister got taken, I would remember every little
But
detail.
because she didn't remember it in the beginning.
Okay, it's called
She's
traumatize, and
9.
it's
She's trauma.
traumatizing. It
Yeah.
is
So
traumatizing.
like she knew from the beginning because as I said, like she was able to identify this man, but and she recognized the voice. She just couldn't place it in her head where this voice had come from, because you come across so many
And it
people,
was
especially at
dark.
church, like if especially because they were so religious, you probably come across so many people at church. It was dark, you were scared, so she knew.
Yeah.
um so there was a very the police eventually believed her, and they got a composite sketch. um but there was a very like large disagreement between the family and the police of whether they should release this information and release the sketch, because they didn't want to give Brian a warning, which
I
fair,
get it.
but release the sketch.
Release it.
Release
I
it.
get it because then
She's
it's
been gone for 4 fucking
no,
months.
I get it both sides because get it, yeah, release it because you got to get the word out there, but you also don't want to spook him where they don't go anywhere. You want him to mess up.
Yeah,
You want him to believe he's comfortable.
I understand
And
that, but freaking release it.
right, I'd be
And they
like,
did.
"Release it so I can
Yeah,
find my baby."
and they did. Do you know who John Walsh is?
Yes,
America's
Unsolved
most
Mystery or
America's Most Wanted.
America's Most Wanted. Sorry, wrong.
Period.
I watched too many as a kid. I probably shouldn't have, but I did.
Yeah, same. So
Ugh,
John Walsh actually got involved with this case, and
that
he
deep
released
voice.
information. Yeah, for real. He released this information, released the sketch with Ed and Lois's approval.
Hey, you said it
I
right.
did say
Good
it
job.
right. In December of
Good.
2002. So it was released. Um, Unfortunately, Elizabeth spent Christmas, New Year's, and all of the holidays with Wanda and Brian.
Um, dang.
With nothing, really. Timeline check real quick. 8 months into her abduction. Brian went to get food and water for 3 days apparently because he was
Yeah.
gone. He literally left. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go get food and water." They had no food or water for 3 days at this point. They're still camping in like a random spot in San Diego, like very hidden, secluded spot. Elizabeth at this point felt like she would die of starvation, and she thought it would be ironic if she did. She said to God that she hopes she has a good sense of humor in her next life, because she thought that she was just gonna die because of
So
starvation. She was like,
sad.
I was been through so much, but I'm just gonna sit here and die of starvation, was
Three
basically her.
days? That's a long time.
Yeah. She felt at peace with everything. She was okay with dying at that point. She was like, it's okay if I die. But it started to rain, and she was able to drink the rainwater. And so it gave her
Good.
a sign, and she said, "Nope, not dying today. I'm gonna keep fighting."
That was God's way of saying, you ain't done fighting,
Yes,
child. You ain't done fighting.
yes.
You keep hanging on.
Brian came back days later,
Did,
without food, without water.
where did he go?
He bought alcohol and prescription drugs.
Hmm.
And within those days, he was arrested for breaking into the LDS church, and he fooled the judge into letting him go.
I'm sorry, he did what? He
The
fooled
sketch
the
was
judge?
out. The
The
sketch
sketch
was
was.
out.
And the judge let him go?
Yes. I'm mind boggled.
Oh my
Oh
god,
my
I'm
god.
sorry. The police back then and the judge back then.
This was in
need to be.
2000s. It wasn't even that
Well,
long
I was in
ago.
fifth grade,
Oh,
2002.
Jesus.
I
Don't
know,
say
I
that.
know. It makes me feel real old right about now. So I'm now
But it's not
32.
old like this.
I know,
2000, like 20 years ago.
I know, but it makes me feel old.
I'm
Okay, I'm
sorry.
32.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I feel old. I don't get carded anymore at stores. Um, but it's just the judges. Come on,
Oh my
like you
god.
need
Okay.
reevaluated.
So, um, a helicopter, when he got back, a helicopter ended up like flying over the campsite, not like looking for anything, it was just a helicopter, and he was like paranoid again. He was like, we need to move to Chicago. And he wanted to move to either Chicago or Philadelphia. And Elizabeth knew that she needed to get back to Utah. She was like, there's no chance I'm going to be found if I don't get back to Utah.
Yeah.
Elizabeth told Brian that God had spoken to her and that God said he needed to go back to Utah to get more wives. Brian agreed and they
Oh,
went back to Utah. They
smart
hitchhiked.
Elizabeth.
She was so
Smart.
smart. Um, they hitchhiked back to Utah. They went to this soup and salads place a lot because this was the only place where they can get like cheap free food.
Yeah, I mean, it,
They were homeless still, of course.
soup salad's not bad.
So their family was still going around like door to door being like, "Hey, have you seen this girl?" Her uncle asked a waitress at one point if she had seen Brian, and the waitress said yes. And she said that the waitress, like, side note, the waitress was like, are they a part of some like religious cult because of like the robes that they were wearing?
Yeah.
Like, she thought that they were just very weird, but she admitted that the last time they came in, Brian had two people with him, two women. Um Wanda and Brian's families recognized them and they came forward and they were like, "Hey, we haven't heard from Wanda or Brian in a really long time, so we think this could be connected." Two so two different people one day reported seeing Brian, Elizabeth, and Wanda at a local Walmart. And so police surrounded the Walmart and um they confronted Brian and Brian said his name was Peter Marshall. Brian was like, "Hi,
Most like
I'm
normal name ever. That's
yeah." He's like, "Hi, I'm Peter Marshall." And so he just changed his first name.
yeah,
Or no,
the whole name, right?
yeah, because his name was Mitchell.
Yeah.
So, freaking weirdo, like, sucky name. He said he didn't have his ID on him because they had given up all their earthly possessions
Oh,
to
Jesus.
be messengers for the Lord Jesus Christ. So he was just like trying to make that the story.
The religious thing, yeah.
Poor Elizabeth, she wouldn't speak because Brian was so close to her. So they separated Elizabeth, Wanda, and Brian to talk all
Good.
separately.
Finally.
But she still kind of wouldn't speak. She was scared that something would go wrong,
Yeah.
and the police like decided to take her and interrogate her, so she was away from them. Before she was put in the back of the cop car, the police asked her one final time. They had been asking her like, "Hey, are
Yeah.
you Elizabeth Smart?" But she just wouldn't say anything around them. So one last time before they went into the cop car, they asked her and she said, "Thou sayest," which is they talked in kind of this formal English around
Yeah.
Brian and Wanda because that's just how Brian talked. He thought he was a prophet, so he talked all fancy. Thou sayest basically means yes in like Old English. So she talked like this so that if Brian heard, he wouldn't have thought any different of her
Yeah.
just saying yes to a
I'm
question.
like, yes, thou shalt, or whatever it is.
Thou
Yeah.
sayest. So she was taken back to the police station. She was terrified of what was going to happen, but
Oh,
then her
yeah.
father walked in
Oh,
and she was reunited with her family. They called the father down. They were like, "Hey, we have Elizabeth." And they were
I would have
reunited.
bawled. I'd have bawled like a damn baby.
They were a mess apparently.
I'd have like, I would have bawled. I'd have like, don't ever let me
um
go. I'm sleeping in your
yeah.
bed.
Her parents shut her down from the media, let her heal
Good.
by herself.
Good. As a parent
A
should.
lot of people like got really mad that she wasn't going straight into like a rehab facility or into therapy. But Elizabeth came out and was like, "Hey, like, I didn't want to go to therapy because her parents let her make a lot of decisions. Like, they let her have control because she hadn't had control for 9 months. So they let her have
It makes
control.
sense.
And she was like, honestly, my family was more part of the healing. And she got therapy later, of course, but like her family helped her heal a lot.
Well, probably she had to get back to normal in
Yeah,
the
I think,
beginning.
yeah.
Like, getting, probably being able to eat and drink and shower and
Yeah.
sleep. She probably slept so much, and
Yeah.
I would have slept right next to my baby, you know what I mean, and slept there, but
Yeah.
just able to get back to the normalness of everything.
I agree.
And then when she's ready to open up about her experience, like, even if she's not, you're still there as a parent to let them know, like, hey, if you're wanting to talk, I'm here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
yeah.
I completely agree with that. So now to the trial, which also made me really mad.
Oh
Um,
God.
And Brian were charged on March 18th, 2003, with aggravated kidnapping, aggravated sexual assault, and aggravated burglary. Um, the interrogation with Brian went very, very religious,
As it
and
was to expect.
he blamed his religion. He blamed the Bible, and he like sang hymns in the interrogation room. He was just going crazy. So he was deemed incompetent to stand trial. Angry, maybe really
So
angry.
psych ward?
No, he was just incompetent to stand trial. So like they would have psych evaluations on him, and they'd be like, push back the trial because he's not ready
Oh,
to
so
stand it yet.
basically, yeah.
So yeah, kind of, but like they were like, oh,
I
he
would have
needs
been like
help.
psych ward for life.
But he wasn't, because we'll get into
I
it.
know.
We'll get into it.
The last case should have been psych ward for life.
Yeah, that was crazy. The freaking werewolves.
Yeah, that should have been. Oh no, he's normal. Come again?
Yeah, please no.
Side note, sorry. That was intense.
Yeah, if you've seen that one, you know that. Um, so it took 8 freaking years to get this man to stand trial because of his
Oh,
mental
I would have been
state.
pissed.
Court deemed Brian okay to stand trial at one point. He tried to get the sexual assault charges dropped.
What?
Um, he would act insane in court.
The
But
audacity.
then, okay, here's why he wasn't sent to like a psych ward the rest of his life. He would act insane in court, but then when he got to jail, security guards said he was completely fine and normal. So
Tell
that's
me that's not psych related. Come on. That's
no,
manipulation at its
it's
finest.
manipulation, but I think it was more of just an act of
Acts,
him
yeah.
wanting to get
Which equals
incompetent.
more psyche, Val.
True. I
Telling
guess it's
you.
just a cycle.
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
Manipulation at its finest. And the audacity for him to try to get them charges dropped. The
Um,
audacity.
yeah, that's crazy.
Boy.
So the
Mm.
judge agreed that Brian did have psychosis.
Ugh.
He stayed in the hospital until 2008, I believe.
Ooh.
So but then a bill was passed in Utah that inmates could be forcibly medicated so that they could stand trial. Wanda, side note, we're gonna go like kind of crazy for a second.
Yeah.
Wanda did plead guilty,
Oh, good.
and but she only got 10 years in prison.
Come again?
We'll go
So is
back.
she out now?
We'll get back. Yeah, we'll get back to her. We'll
Ooh.
get back to her in a second.
Wanda, catch you on the streets.
Fight me.
Fight me.
So Brian was deemed
Get your
incompetent again.
address.
Case was pushed back. Blah blah blah. This happened forever. But then Elizabeth testified against Brian and said that he was smart and it was just all an act.
Good job.
So,
Good
final
job.
conclusion: Brian was able to stand trial, and November 8th, 2010 was when the trial for him started.
Damn, I was a senior in high school.
He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison.
Yes.
And he is now serving his sentence in a high security prison in Indiana.
Good job. Way to go,
Period.
Elizabeth. Way to stand. Proud
Wanda, however, is out of prison.
Little
She
troll.
got out of prison September 19th, 2008.
Where's she living at?
She only served 9 years.
I'm like, where's she living? Can we look her up?
I don't.
Kelly Blue. Not Kelly Blue. That's Cars. Can we address this?
I forget where they said she's living. But
Probably
she
don't
actually,
post it.
no, they know where she's living. I just forget. You know where she's living? 60, 100, no, that's wrong. Not numbers. 600 yards away from a school. An elementary school.
She shouldn't be allowed near a school.
Nope. And so many people are mad because, and there's like a video clip that I saw.
She should be on a deserted island to starve.
Yeah, she needs to be somewhere else. There's like this video clip I saw of like this news reporter like coming up to her house, and she's like, I don't want anything to do with you guys. She's like this grumpy old lady now, which I mean suits her. So,
well, I mean,
whatever.
I guess Elizabeth moved on. She's married and
Which brings me to my next point. Elizabeth is now an advocate for
hmm
victims of kidnapping and sexual assault, child safety. On a missionary overseas, she met Matthew Gilmore from Scotland and they
ooh,
got
got a
married.
Scotland man.
Yes, they got married in 2012 and they have 3 kids.
Good for her though.
She's an
Like I'm
inspirational speaker and she came up with this like smart defense type deal. So like it's just this whole defense thing and she's an advocate for child safety. She's very very involved. She's very
good. Well,
well
yeah.
off.
I'm sure,
She did very good for herself.
wouldn't expect anything less from
She's
her.
amazing.
I'm
I
proud.
watched a lot of her
I could
like
say I'm proud of her for the way she handled herself in that situation because most 14-year-olds would not.
yeah, she
And
is inspirational
she's a
for sure.
survivor to the T. Her flight and fight instincts kicked in majorly.
Yeah.
So, and props to her little sister though too for
Yes,
stepping up.
Mary Catherine.
Yeah,
Period.
and
She was so
having
good.
sisters back.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
That is all I have.
that was a good one.
Side note, a
Yes.
similar case that I do want to get into one day. JC Lee Dugard was a kidnapping story that ended in 2 children and Stockholm syndrome.
Oh,
I
that
want to
one
do that
on.
one.
Yes,
I
that'll
want to do that one
be.
sometime.
We'll do that
She
one.
had children with her kidnapper, I
There's
believe.
one I want us to look
Amanda
up.
Berry.
I don't know.
Oh.
It's the one where the dad kidnapped his own daughter in the basement for 20 something years and ended up having children with her and everything. We'll look into it. And the only reason why she was to escape because one of the children needed to go to the hospital. But he kept her captive in the basement when the mom and her other siblings were upstairs and they thought she was missing the whole entire time.
I think I know
The
what you're talking about.
there's a whole Lifetime movie on it. I watched
We're
it.
gonna watch a bunch of stuff.
And it was real creepy. But we should
Yeah, I
we
bet.
should actually because it's based on true story.
Oh yeah.
So we need to look
We
into
should
that one
watch.
too.
Yes. Okay.
We have a lot of true crime events coming
Yeah,
up.
I started researching our next one. I'm so excited to get to that
I
one
have
for
the
you
next
guys.
Reddit ones coming, so
Yeah.
we're on top of it.
We're on top of it. Actually, I think we're gonna start posting, or This is gonna come out way after
Well,
our
because we
announcement.
have the Sunday one.
Yeah, so we're gonna post Sunday and Fridays, I believe now.
Yes.
So, yay! So you'll
Fridays
get a
are
true
going to
crime,
be our true crime.
and then you get a good start to the week. Your little new start to the week. Your Sunday Reddit stories. So yeah.
Yep. All right.
Yeah. Oh, real quick.
Yes.
TikTok. Don't believe everything you see on TikTok.
Oh yes.
Because I had screenshots of this man, of this daughter, of
gaslight
of the truck he drove. Because this mom on TikTok was like, "Help me find my baby. She's missing. She's missing." Like blah blah
Their
blah.
dad took her to Texas.
I watched all 6 videos. I watched all of her videos. I watched other stuff. Took screenshots. I was gonna put it on the video right now. I was gonna put it on there, and I was gonna be like, "Help us find this girl." It's fake. She wanted money.
But thank God for the people
They
that
did
deep dive into stuff
Yeah.
like this for this reason.
They did find the girl.
Yeah.
I mean, she was with her dad, so
Perfectly safe.
oh, they deemed the dad as like crazy. I don't know. Just don't believe
But
everything you see on
this is a hot
TikTok.
mess.
Like I was so like, oh my god, I'm gonna put it on the
But
podcast. We're
for the
gonna talk about it.
FBI, civilians that deep dive into stuff.
No, I
Thank
can
you.
never. Actually,
Thank you.
I'm a good stalker on social media.
Girls make better FBI agents than
For
FBI
real,
agents.
I believe that.
I find out more about stuff
Yeah.
than anything.
Yep.
Okay, if my best friend's dating somebody, who you dating? Okay.
I know I know where he
This
lives.
is their
I know
ex.
his mom's.
This is what they did. This is their last job. Oh,
I know
look at
his
this.
mom's name. I know
Yup.
everything.
Yup.
Okay, well, that seems like it's it.
Yep.
I'm so tired.
Me too.
I think that was a good
I gotta go get my daughter now.
Yeah, we gotta go cut with Letty. Maybe
Yep.
watch a movie.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm Allie.
I'm Kara.
Good night. Woohoo, we did it.